those on the screen, we have a quorum, so we'll get started. So we'll open the meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association Village Board. As we always do, we'll start it off with a couple of, oh, that's just the meeting recorded. I thought there was some warning popping up on the screen. We'll start it off with our two administrative items. The first would be to approve minutes from the March 26th meeting. Is there a motion? I see a motion from Warren to approve those minutes. Is there a second? I have a second from Shar. Is there any discussion of those minutes before approval? All right, all in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. Okay, next up is approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. I have a motion from Warren. Is there a second? I have a second from Shar. Is there any discussion of tonight's agenda? All in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. All right, we're underway. First up, we have resident remarks. If we have any, see now Mike's confusing me because I see two Brigidas on the screen. I need to stop looking at that screen. Oh, and Bill's here. Okay, hi, Bill. If we have any residents wishing to make remarks to the board, you have 3 minutes, and we just need you to raise your hand or otherwise somehow get my attention, and I will call on you in the order I see you. I don't think we have any remarks because I think we know why everyone else is here right now. All right, we'll move on from that. First up, we have new business, and we have Frank Standifer with us in the top left corner for those of us looking at the screen. He is here to make a presentation about some exterior alterations at Shadow Oaks condominiums. And this presentation to the village board starts the non-residential architecture advisory committee process because that is done in a public meeting, and that opens a public comment window. So this is, similar to what we've had to do with the, for example, the 7-Eleven site that's going up now. We had one more recently, and for the life of me, I can't think of what the more recent one was, but that's right, Columbia Point, the sign at Columbia Point. So we did that one this board year. Brigida or Mike, is there anything I need to turn over to you in terms of introduction before we hear from Frank and Shadow Oak?
Mike, you can go ahead.
Okay, not on my part, really. We have, I think Frank sent over an explanation as to why the fences were installed. We've also attached, there you go. If you had a chance to read that will give you a complete explanation as to what they needed to do and why. And then we also have pictures. That's a close-up picture of the gate and or the fence itself, and also the sidewalk. And Frank, anytime you want to chime in, you're free to if you're not muted. That's where the sidewalk was removed and grass was replanted. And then we had pictures of the 3 fences. There are now a total of 3 fences.
Sorry, the computer's having a mind of its own right now. I apologize.
What was the is the summary supposed to be in our printed packet?
No, if I didn't have Amy print all of the because a lot of these pictures have been presented before.
Oh, no, I mean the first thing that Mike referenced, the written
that was sent today, but no, I didn't
have
it printed out now.
Okay, because I don't.
You want to go through that, Jonathan? If you want to take some minutes to read it, it's rather, or I'll read it to you, whichever way you'd like to do it. Was
it in our email packet?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't. I basically stopped home from work, changed, and then came here, so I didn't see the email packet.
Okay.
Did everyone else see it?
I actually didn't get a chance to look at it either. So
yeah, could we zoom a little bit just so we can read through it real quickly?
Yep. And Frank, again, if you want to add anything to this, feel free to. I'll.
Well, while everybody's reading to it, there were pictures submitted. I'm sorry. The fence that were in question basically has the straw, if you look at the next pictures, the bus stop, that would be a previous fence, approved fence. And our bushes are gonna be planted the same as, I guess, page number 2 on that, it'd be picture with a bus stop that you're looking at the back of the building. That would be 96 41 and 96 45, where years ago we had problems, and when that fence was put in, it was about the same time as the village was having problems with the playground in between the 2 barns. So the fence went up to stop that problem, and we did the same thing between 96 41 and 96 45 years ago. You can see the bushes are mature now.
Yeah, that's why I had pictures of all 3 of them, Frank.
Yes.
Basically, it's gonna look like the one to the right or to the
Yeah.
left, if you're looking from the other side.
Yeah, if you're seeing a bus stop, it's directly behind the bus stop. You'll see the hedgerow there. And a little bit of history to this. Over the years, Shadow Oaks, we've had the burden of the neighborhood going down, that type of thing. And the board got together, and a lot of residents got together, and we looked at problems. The corner between 90, right next to 96 51 and the barn itself. We had CA install that light at the pathway because that was the drug haven that, with all the drugs and drinking that was going on. And the police said that they couldn't do anything because Oakland Mills Village, the pathway, and then Shadow Oaks. And we gave them written permission to basically do anything they want as far as to help try to get that to stop. The only thing that really helped out a lot is when we did a lighting plan at CA. I'm sorry, I used to be at CA for 20 years. And we had a lighting plan for Oakland Mills, and a lot of it was added along the pathway. And the large light that's directly behind the barn, in between that and Shadow Oaks, was installed specifically to try to get the loitering and the problems there. And the police said it helped out a lot. And each time we've had something come up, we've tried to sit there and look at it over, the best way to fix the problem. So between 96 41 and 96 45, right behind the bus stop there, that was our first trial of, okay, how do we stop the people from the apartments, the people from Oakland Mills, and the people from Shadow Oaks? It was just an ongoing problem where the police could never, they would come, and if you come this way, they'd run that way, and so forth. So 96, the hedgerow behind the bus stop was installed, and the problems went away overnight. Our next one was the between 96 25 and 96 35 on the backside. And it's the same type of fence, same maturity with the hedgerow and everything. And voila, all our problems stopped on that area too, of the lot of break-ins, a lot of drinking, 2 o'clock in the morning, people hanging out in between the buildings. And by installing the fence there also, that problem, it went away overnight. This new fence that we've installed, and my apologies, we were just at the point desperate with the new fence that was put up because it was out of hand. I mean, the police, I think very highly of the Howard County Police and all police. But since 9/11, since COVID, response from the police has, not been very welcomed. Before, when we used to have a liaison, we at least had somebody when he was it was his shift, we'd have somebody looking at the Shadow Oaks parking lot. And but since COVID, police just aren't offered, even when we're there. And I speak because I personally called the police, and they just didn't show up. And we finally left, and about an hour later, they called me up and said, "Well, where are you at?" I'm like, it's been an hour, the kids are gone because we threatened to call the police. And at that time, we caught the kids in the laundry room, and that was the third fire that was set in the laundry room. And we just said, it's got to stop. I mean, the plate glass windows that are in the foyer area, they break it. I mean, every week the residents are calling, and every problem is everybody has my number. Okay, I'm just like you, I'm a volunteer. Okay, so I get calls at anywhere from bad dark up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so I do answer them because I understand where they're coming from. But like I said, between the fire, we removed the door in the laundry room, thinking, okay, now you can't hide in there. We had people sleeping in there. Somehow they were getting in the building. They've taken screwdrivers, hammers, and every door lock that we put on there, and cover plate has been broken off. And when we make it even more difficult for them, usually it's a broken window, and that's all plate glass tempered. Very large pane has to be pre-ordered. It's whatever specialty glass. We were just desperate, so I told the contractor that we were currently using. I said, when can you get a fence in there? And he said, tomorrow. And I was like, do it. I mean, that's where we were at. That we had gotten so many complaints. I mean, I spent time over to myself. Nietzsche Robinson, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's very active in the area. And there was just threats to the people. I mean, people were actually afraid over there. Okay. And we had between that, and I've dealt with these people before, the vandals and the problem people and everything. And, you walk in and you're catching them smoking pot, sitting on the stairs and everything else, drinking. As you can see, you have the vandal list. I don't think I need to read again, but we were desperate, and like I said, I apologize for not going through the architectural committee at first, but hopefully you understand why we were that desperate. I mean, it had to stop. We had several, and our main thing is the children and females. We had several issues and personal issues that, they were being followed to their cars. It just goes on and on. One of the children that attends the high school, 4 other kids were coming after them. It just got to the point that, the police weren't responding. And like I said, I apologize, but we were desperate. We put the fence up. It's worked. Since then, we've not had one piece of vandalism. At first, we had some resistance from some of the people that wanted to park out on a Whiteacre Road. But within about 2 to 3 weeks, when everybody got adjusted to parking in our parking lot, which we had plenty of parking spaces, the complaints went away, and we're hoping that, you'll understand why we did it, why we need it, and hopefully we can get this approved. And like I said, I do apologize for putting it up, but hopefully you understand why. We were just at our wits' end with it. Okay.
Thank you very much, Frank. And obviously it's similar or really the same as the existing fencing, but obviously it's an alteration, so we still have to go through the
Yes.
process. So as I said, really tonight is kicking off the process. We can't do a final decision because we're required to do the public comment period. So we'll put this out for public comment.
Okay.
We'll get substantial public comment on a fence at Shadow Oak, but we'll follow the process. But really, the purpose of tonight is for you to present, and then for members of the board sitting as the architecture committee to ask any preliminary questions. So what I'll do right now is I will turn it over to members of the board to see if you do have any questions for
One last
Frank.
thing, please. I do apologize. There was confusion about attendance. Oakland Mills sent something out to me. I had some medical conditions personal that I was dealing with, and just let it go by and forgot about the last time I was supposed to be here. Okay, so it's my fault. I just Like I said, I had issues that I would deal with medically and couldn't attend. Okay.
It's okay. We're glad you're up to being here with us today, and we were just really standing by till you're ready. So like I said, this is a nice way to kick it off, and this will allow us to put this out for the comment period, and then when that comment period is over, depending on what comes in, we can review that and have you back so that we can make the final decision. But do any members of the board have questions right now for Frank? Based on what you've seen and heard?
It's simply a fence, right? It doesn't have
It's a
like,
fence.
there's no gate that you have to walk through. You don't have to have a key to a gate.
No, there was no keys to the gate. At first it was brought up and we looked into every gate possibility, and that would require the push button or a key. And there's really nothing out there. We called Liberty Lock Service, in on this, and they actually do all our security doors and push buttons for us. And he said, Frank, you can do it, but it's not gonna, it's gonna be left open. There's nothing we can really do to make this work. And that was his opinion, and everybody kind of agreed with it. Okay. So the gate was, decided not to go with that and introduce more problems.
It's hard to see, but I think Rebecca has a hand
Yes, she
raised.
does.
Okay.
One of it, I was asking about the gate. Do any of your, I don't know, districting, Jonathan probably knows. Do your kids go to, Talbot Springs across the street? And can they get there now without going all the way around the block? Can you
That's
hear me?
addressed
Who's-
to you,
Oh.
Frank.
Who you,
Yeah.
are you asking me?
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know, either you or Jonathan, because Jonathan knows where everybody goes.
Children from Shadow Oaks if they attend Talbot Springs.
We spoke to the residents, and we've sent out a flyer to all the owners and tenants of and we posted on the door at the foyer doors for 9633 and 35, and they're the two buildings in question. If you're looking at it, you can really only see the end of 9635. Parallel to that, connected, would be 9633. We sent out flyers, and we sent emails, and like I said, we did post a building, and it was positive. We didn't have any negative feedbacks. Most of them were, hey, thank you for finally doing something. That's the only feedback we really received. There was actually 5 out of there's 24, 48 48 units per for these two buildings. And we got back 5 responses, and all were positive. So, that was it.
It's not that far extra to walk out to the parking lot and down, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not a
you're
big deal.
talking, you're talking about going down to the next building, and
Yeah.
it's the same as, it would be the same,
and-
the other 2 that are up.
And another positive response is I bike on Whiteacre, and I did actually notice the lack of cars parked there now, which makes biking along it much easier. So
Yes.
not your intended effect, but a bonus for
A lot of that
everybody else.
also, if you looked on Whiteacre, we also try to work with the police on that, seems like car storage is the worst situation on Whiteacre, and if you're there, that.
Mhm.
Between that trailer that parks there, and we basically called the 2 shift commanders that were there and asked them to meet us on site, and actually went through and said, okay, this car has been here for a year. We have pictures of it from a year ago. And usually somebody that doesn't have a registered vehicle and brings it on our lot, they're not allowed to park there. So what they'll do is they'll take that unregistered vehicle and park it on Whiteacre. And so the police have been looking at that, and I think we've done a pretty good job of clearing that whole side up of vehicles being stored there.
Yeah, it's been noticed.
So that part worked out without, it was an unattended, intentional type thing, but it seemed like it worked out very well there. And now that if you have drop off, pick up with the kids, there's a lot more there's a lot more spaces for them to do that now versus before they just blocked the street off until they got their kids, It was a mess on White Acre. So there is now a pull off area for the people to pick up their children. That's the baby's a heartbreak kid there. That's not fair, Brandon. And that's all. I don't want to say that again.
Well, I had to mute because she's starting to fuss and get in her mood. So she's not so sweet right now.
That's all right. I got 3 children with each have two children each. So when they're housebroken, I say bring them over. I don't do diapers anymore.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
Bill?
Frank,
Yes.
for all of the bad actors that you've been able to identify, what percent of them live in Shadow Oaks?
The bad actors that we're dealing with in this situation, now we've had several situations, and we have the ban letter. I don't know if you've heard of the ban letter that, we contact the police, we give them a letter, and usually we have to have the police there to make that work because we can't touch somebody or even go near them. So the people that were coming through this were actually, I would say, between 14 and 18. And this was the hangout. I mean, people would, this is the only area between the main entrance and around 9625. So this was the hangout area. And if it was raining, people would go inside the door. And I'm not sure how they were getting in because the people in the building are complaining about people coming in. So I don't know how they were getting into the building, but the locksmith was there at least once a week. Creative Edge, our construction company, does all the maintenance type work. They were averaging before that at least one day fixing the door jams that they're breaking out, and not counting for the broken glass.
Well, Frank, you've identified people who created the problem. Okay,
Yes.
Of those, some people create problems you never were able to identify, but you've been able to identify some of the people who have been creating problems. Of those people, you have been able to identify what percent of them live in Shadow Oaks.
Actually, only one, and it was a rental, and we notified the owner. He was given warnings that the next time there'll be fines issued. That was one person, and the other 4 that the police happened to be there, type thing, and they were issued ban letters. And as you know, that's a registered letter sent out, and it didn't seem to matter with that, that they would still come back no matter what, because the police weren't responding to the calls.
Okay, so if I'm reading you correctly, you're saying we've identified 5 bad actors. Only one of the bad actors lived in Shadow Oaks.
Yes.
The other 4 lived somewhere else. Okay,
Yes,
if I'm correct.
There were apartments across the street.
They lived, so the other 4 bad actors lived in the Verona apartments. Is that what you're saying?
Directly across the street, or the Verona. I'm not sure because the name changes a lot over there.
Okay, because I'm trying to get a feel for where the bad actors are coming from. Okay,
Yeah.
And if so far the ones you've been identified, most are from outside the complex. That fencing hopefully can work to keep them out, and I'm all for safety, number one. And if that means you have to fence in the whole place and eventually have to have guards and locks and all to keep your people safe, I would vote for that if any of that had to come before the village board as the architectural committee. Safety is number one. Getting rid of the bad actors is very important. And if there are issues with getting that done, if you're not getting the kind of police support that you need, okay, let the village board know, because we can approach our county council, we can approach the county executive. And I have another issue somewhere else that I have referred that building manager to Calvin Ball because it's similar kinds of issues, okay? So I'm with you. Safety's number one. Thank you.
Our last, only thing I would like to add to that is, the weather's getting warmer. We've knocked out 3 of our really problem areas that have been ongoing problems. But we're gonna go probably back to the summertime with, if anybody's in there in the evening at Oakland Mills, if you could just look behind the barn, that's the problem area between the barn and our first building. That's been the hangout area behind the convenience store, you know, type thing. That's always our summertime ongoing problem with people hanging. If they park their cars on our parking lot, we've got notices now that we'll tow their cars. You know, because before they used to pull in our parking lot, park there, and the police said they couldn't do anything. We have parking stickers now. We have, I'm called 5-0. You know, they call me 5-0 if I come in the parking lot. So if somebody could just look out back like we're doing, we're just trying to keep that area clear over there. And it's been working, but as the summer goes on, they tend to, you know, get in that area.
All right, any other questions for Mr. McGarrett? 5-0, I'm continuing the 5-0 thing. Come on, someone, give me something. No?
You lost me there, sorry.
All right.
I figured that's
Steve
what you were
McGarrett,
talking
Steve
about.
McGarrett, 5-0.
Well, it was funny.
Yeah.
They were, the kids were hollering 5-0, 5-0. And I'm like, what is 5-0? Somebody had to tell me what it was.
Any other questions? Okay, so that would conclude the presentation. So now we can put this out, you know, for public comment. So what happens is we upload the documents to our website and, you know, put out the community email and notification that there's a non-residential alteration to a property out for public comment. And at the end of the comment period, we'll, you know, I think Mike collects all that information, puts it together in a report that, you know, can be turned back over to you. And you know, basically you have the ability to respond to that, discuss it with the village board, and then ultimately
It goes
the
before the end.
NRAC committee, looks at that as well and gives feedback, and then it can come to the village board with their recommendation.
Do I need to do anything else, or, you know?
Not right now, no. You just get to sit back and wait for the public comments to come in if there are any.
Okay. Look forward. Thank you very much. And like I said, sorry for this thing dragging on without.
No problem.
Approval, okay. Am I
Thank you,
done?
Frank.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you. I'm gone, I guess. Let me find out how to leave. My wife's not here and I can't find a 10-year-old.
Little red button down at the bottom. Hey,
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Just pull the plug out the back.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Just shut it.
All right, for old business, the first thing we have is we have consideration of an appointment of the incoming members to the current board, because we technically have 2 vacancies. Andrew is here with us. Unfortunately, Paulette was not. I think we were expecting her, but she's not. So we may have to table consideration of that since she wouldn't be here to accept.
Does she have to be here?
Well, I think it would be preferable because she's not, if we have any questions, she's not here to be seated anyway.
But
So
you could see Andrew.
we could seat Andrew,
No.
yeah. So I think right now, we could consider seating Andrew on the board. So the first thing I'd like to do to start that process is, I know we had the candidate night and we all got to meet and chat a little bit. That was more for our residents. Do any members of the current board have any questions they'd like to ask of Andrew? Anything else they'd like to know about Andrew before we consider the next steps?
We're just glad he wants to be part of our group.
Yeah.
Right, we're excited
So I'm
that,
looking forward to it.
right, excited that people are getting involved.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Rebecca
I
has one.
suppose we technically need to ask, like, do you have any ulterior motives, or, bad intentions towards joining the board or something like that?
No, not at all. Yeah, just trying to help, I guess, and get involved in the community, so. I don't know,
Cool.
like, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Yes,
is,
she
yeah.
can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, you pass.
Thank you.
All right, so in the past, when we've appointed new members to the board, we were all here in person or we were entirely virtual. So it was kind of easy to do a closed ballot. Does anyone feel strongly that we need to do a closed ballot? Because I can find a way quickly. I would just have to pull out my laptop for those of you who are online, and I could pass out some papers here in the room. If you feel strongly about that, there's nothing that says we have to. So we can do this as an open ballot.
I'm fine with an open ballot.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion before we call a vote on appointing Andrew to the current village board? Which effectively means he would serve with us through April 30th, and then he would take his seat as a elected village board member on May 1st with the start of our new year. Okay, no further discussion? Okay, then I will call the vote.
Wait,
I'll call,
no, what?
That's a motion.
We have to motion
I'm
first.
calling for a motion, yeah.
Oh, sorry, you
Yeah.
said you're calling for a vote.
So
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
gonna call, would anyone like to motion to appoint Andrew Freed to the remainder of the term of the current village board, which runs through April 30th? I'll take a motion from Bill. I'll take a second from Rebecca. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Congratulations. Come on up and take a seat with us.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I can't see, but does he have a name tag there already? Did Brigida?
Not yet,
He does
Rebecca,
not
we're
yet.
not that fast, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they sit over here. Oh, yeah, you can sit here and then everybody.
Oh,
yeah.
There's papers too.
okay, you can be Bill.
You can be Bill. Do you want to be Bill tonight?
Yeah, because we have the papers here.
You're wearing a green shirt. You qualify.
Yeah. It's one green.
You have to sit by Brigida because you're new.
Okay.
And he looks much better than the real Bill, so
It's a weapon.
he's a big improvement over
That
the
came
old
from
Bill.
Amy. I want everybody to know that came from me.
That's exactly right.
I'm here, the manager, so you can like help. them.
Right?
Help.
Be the assistant.
I wasn't allowed to sit at the big table, so I get to the end, so.
That's funny.
All right. Well, that was easy. On to our next old business. The still draft, but maybe not for long, fiscal 25 budget.
So-
Anita?
Oh, actually, let me. There, I just made a couple of adjustments. Nothing that affected the bottom amounts. I just adjusted a couple of line items. And basically, what I adjusted in revenues, after looking over the rentals and leases again, and looking at the special event revenue from last year, just to feel better about it myself. I changed the room rental, revenue to 125, so, I adjusted that by, I believe it was 5,000. Do I have the old one in front of me? And then for the special events, initially I had the revenue at 25 and I adjusted it to 20.
Okay.
So, just like I said, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but I just wanted, perhaps I felt better putting them in those two categories.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I did in expenses was, I just, I sent it to our, Amy, I'm not as talented as you. 2 figures. I know, it doesn't want to work. I had put the, $1,000 into the catering food service under operating expenses, and that was for like, our staff picnic and, the board, excuse me, the, staff holiday event, things like that.
Mhm.
But she indicated that it was better, presented in 17B, which is business expenses, food, business meals. So I just, again, it didn't affect the bottom line numbers. It just was an adjustment in the line on, based on what the accountant had told me to do, so. But that was all.
The bottom line numbers are unchanged, right?
Correct, yes. Oh, Rebecca has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Rebecca. I was
That's
looking at
okay.
the sheet and didn't see your hand up there.
No worries. Question, where are things like, how much we give in donations and like the cul-de-sac program and the like cookout, their block party and like those kinds of things?
So, the cul-de-sac and the block parties fall under special events because it's a direct correlation between the plant sale revenue. And that goes right back into the community for those two programs. The donations line has, a line all by itself. Donations, contributions, it's line 22 under expenses. And so that line is the same as it was in the past couple years.
Gotcha. Is there any way, well, first, when do we vote on the cul-de-sac and the block party? That stuff, that happens in the next fiscal year, right? I mean, that
Correct.
happens at in May.
Correct.
Okay, and is there any way can you see any room to wiggle in the budget to add more to the
We lost-
donation? Oh, can you hear me?
No, you're going in and out.
Oh, can you think of any way to wiggle room in the budget to add more to donations, since we always have an overwhelming amount of asks?
So what we normally do is start with that amount. Because right now, actually, the budget shows a loss, right? And that
Yeah.
loss.
Mhm.
So what we normally do is start with that amount. And then as we look at how the fiscal year is progressing and get our third quarter financials, that's when we would add to it if we have, the funds, because we either had less expenses or better revenue than forecasted, and go out for that second round. We couldn't meet all the needs this year, and we didn't go out for the second round because we didn't have it.
We didn't have rentals for the second.
Right, because we didn't
For
have
the
rentals.
full, fourth quarter.
And we didn't do it last year because we had the court case. But I think in the 3 or 4 years prior, we actually were able to go back and do that. And in fact, probably dispersed more in the spring than we did in the fall, when it was all said and done.
And Rebecca, the thing that kind of you're not ever sure of, obviously, is the revenue that comes in from our rentals. That's based on even less than rentals that we have contracted out right now, but I played on the safe side. Never, you never know if people are gonna
Gotcha.
cancel. But 2 years ago, we had a huge, we were, what is the term? Way over what we had budgeted in rentals. And then same thing with special events. This year, our revenue for special events was way over, but I tend to play on the safe side, unknowing you never know how that's all gonna play out. So like Jonathan said, if those are both, over, which I always hope that they will be, then we would have that hopefully additional revenue to possibly put towards donations.
Gotcha. Good.
Does that work for you? Okay. Are there any other questions?
So we're running a deficit in 2025, is that what we're
We
saying?
typically do,
Okay.
yeah. It
I'm
varies in the
looking at
amount,
it,
but
I'm
yeah.
just trying to see, like, each year, is it just like this year it seems small, but maybe that's just because of increased revenue.
Well, last year was actually, when our estimated budget was actually a smaller amount, of a deficit.
Right.
So,
Okay.
And remember, we're forecasting based on what happened in the past. So for
Right.
example, this is something Brigitte and I actually discussed. Look at 15B in expenses. We hope we don't have to put
Oh,
$10,000 into
right.
legal.
Exactly.
But 2 years ago, we had a big surprise in legal. So, if all goes well, that $10,000 never gets spent.
Gotcha.
And that's where we adjust things as we go quarter by quarter and get to the third quarter and see how we're doing.
Everybody keep it clean this year.
Yeah. Other questions? And that's just one example. I mean, there's some, some of these
Yeah.
things obviously are fairly fixed,
well, and
salaries and benefits. I mean, people
Right.
could come and go, but generally, that's gonna be pretty close. Some of our, contract expenses, for example, our fees, they are gonna be what they are. If we're gonna maintain our website and stuff like that, but other things are, other things are forecasted and we tend to, we tend to under promise and over deliver on income and I guess overestimate and underspend on expenses to be safe historically.
yes. And I will say things like, the other printing and the postage under operating expenses. Those vary depending on whether or not we have an election. So like this year, we didn't have an election, so we didn't have to, I mean, our budget wasn't even near what we said we would spend in postage, so.
Yeah, so that's, and to tie that back to Rebecca's question, those are the kinds of things that have happened in the past where we've come to the third quarter and said, let's go out with another round of donations because we have it and there are needs in the community.
Right.
Unfortunately, the past couple of years, we just haven't had it because of other circumstances.
Right.
There are other questions on the budget? All right, it's a strange feeling not to take something up to the absolute last minute
I
this
know,
year.
it's good.
But I'm gonna call to see if anyone would like to make the motion to approve the budget as submitted with Brigitte's revisions since we last saw it. So I have a motion from Rebecca. Is there a second? Second from Shar? I caught you before I called Bill, so I'll take the second from you. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. Got an email from the CA today asking me where it was, so they were looking.
There we go.
Tell them they'll get it when they get it.
Tell them be patient. We're
No,
not
they
done.
were being patient. It was just a nice, kind reminder.
Be patient. We'll get it done. And this is kind of nice because I always felt bad when we were voting in a new budget that I mean, we've never had the whole board turn over like that, but there could be a scenario where the old board hands the new board a budget they didn't have any say in. So
Right.
one of our 2 new people who is
Yeah,
then
yeah.
going to have to live with this budget got to be here to at least hear some of it and vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so, board chair report, I don't have a ton because I've been kind of busy. Ashley, I see you're out there. We still have our commercial parking issues. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get out, to, Thunder Hill to see if those glass vans are still there, in the past couple of days. I know they were there earlier in the week. The truck on 40 Winks was still
Still
there
there.
last I checked.
Still there.
And unfortunately, that Flagler Force truck on Kilimanjaro, this one really annoys me. So the county responded to the C-Click fix and came out and filled the ruts and seeded and put, straw down so that the grass would grow back. And then the truck came back and didn't run over where they fixed, put the wheels just to the side of it to make new ruts right next to the repairs of the old ruts. So that's still a problem. And the more I was thinking about that, and I was actually thinking this before we heard from Frank tonight. I brought this up earlier in the year and we didn't really act, and maybe this is a matter for the new board. But Frank, mentioned how when we used to have, a community police officer, things got taken care of a bit faster. So it's kind of annoyed me all year that program sort of just went away without any notice. Yet there's still a trailer in the, parking lot here. So I know some people have never liked the trailer because it makes it look like there's a problem at the village center. We need a police trailer, and the response has always been, but we have a community officer. That's a benefit to the community. Well, now we just have a police trailer in the parking lot and no community officer. And, things like the situation at Shadow Oak, things like the situation outside the liquor store or between the liquor store and the Second Chance building, things like the commercial parking, they used to get taken care of a lot quicker when we had the one person to call. And I think the response, Brigida, you got back when you inquired about the program is it's not gone, but it's sort of not here. So obviously this isn't even new business or anything like that, but having observed what's going on and, kind of hearing the issues as they come in from talking to Brigida a lot and, seeing them for myself and talking to all of you. I think it is worth, considering either as this board, closes out, which would basically mean talk about in our last meeting or hand it over to the next board, since, many of us will still be here on the next board, providing more formal feedback, to the county executive and the county council about, basically the effect on Oakland Mills of losing that program. Because, my feeling is either bring it back, so that we, have the service we had before, or move the trailer out, because otherwise we just have this trailer in our parking lot and people see that and go, oh, they have a problem. They need a police station in their village center. Well, it's really not. It's a pit stop right now. It's not being used to serve our community.
If I could just, all of the village managers, it was probably in the fall, did send a letter regarding exactly this, and basically got the response that you indicated. But I know that in recent months, as we've had warmer days and some issues present themselves more as the weather gets warmer and people start to come outside, there has been a running discussion on the email with the village managers exactly relating to this, that really took away a key resource that all of the village managers had in kind of in the village centers in particular. And so I think it's definitely, I know other
All
boards
the
would
village
be,
centers had one?
No.
I didn't think so.
no, but the ones that particularly did, I mean, everybody's had to take other types of action because
I'm sure
of some
Long
of the
Reach is
situations that have presented themselves, yeah. So I just wanted to say that the village managers, I think I think most boards would definitely be, also really willing to put forth some.
So those are my board chair thoughts for the evening. Unless anyone has any questions for me on anything I may have forgotten to follow up on or tell you about. I don't think I have. I hope I haven't. If
Hey,
not, I'll pass-
Jonathan, this is
Yes.
Ashley. I didn't know if I had a quick chance just to respond to you, because I
Sure.
did hear from the officer that we reached out to. So based on you and Paul sending us the emails, that was like super helpful. They were able to note that there were 37 calls for service regarding parking violations and abandoned vehicles between February 15th and April 4th. So they are, as far as they being the Howard County Police Department, they are looking at putting something in place. And so we should be hearing a little bit more information about that soon. And once it's able to be released, I'll follow up with Adrian as well, just to make sure we're able to share that with you all. But
Oh, okay.
Howard County Police, they are listening to you all, and they have definitely heard the community officer concern.
Okay, that's great. And I was kind of hoping they were getting more official complaints than just the ones, I was funneling from hearing from people, because as people have complained to me, I've said to them, sure, I'm happy to share that, but it never hurts, to register your own so that they see the numbers coming in. So, I guess not good that that many people are seeing issues and feeling, you know, enough about it that they need to say something, but also good that they are. All right, anything else for me? Over to Karen.
Okay, so I would encourage everyone to watch the CA Board of Directors meeting on Thursday. If you get a chance, stream it, come in person, it's completely up to you. I think we're at the end of our search for a new president, and an announcement hopefully will be happening soon. There's a few more things that have to happen, but I think Thursday would be a good meeting to watch for that. So then the next thing I want to talk about is the easement policy will be under discussion again this Thursday, and then, you know, it'll hit a vote on the 25th. We only have 2 meetings left in this term, this Thursday, and then on the 25th. So there'll be a lot of voting going on the 25th. The other thing that's in this Thursday's packet is the strategic plan. So the strategic plan, it feels to me like it's a maintenance plan. There's no vision in it. There's one of my issues with the entire strategic plan is the lack of innovation, the lack of resiliency, and saying, what do we want Columbia to be in the next 5 years? So if you were watching the meeting during that part, I don't know if I'll be as pushy as I was 4 weeks ago, but I'm still kind of frustrated. So I've been reading through the latest draft that's in the packet in preparation for this Thursday. So there's a lot going on this Thursday at the CA board meeting. The other thing is we don't have an election, but all the other villages do have an election. So all the elections are on the 20th. And then I'm going to save my other item for the tail end, the traffic safety meeting. I'll save that for the end. So that's all. Any questions? Go.
So strategic, so you know, based on the feedback session I went to, I was not exceptionally hopeful. So kind of the opposite of under promise and over deliver, I guess. So and I should have been following this more closely in the board meetings. Are you in a place where you have to adopt a plan now, or is this something that can basically be deferred for more work?
We can do whatever we want with it.
Okay.
We can do whatever we want with it.
I was
and-
hoping, it's not like you're gonna be operating without a budget or something. I just didn't know what, if there's anything in the governing documents or anything like that that says, no, you need to have something.
Right, no, we do not have to approve
Okay.
this. We could continue to live off the existing strategic plan. It would make sense to defer it and have more discussions when the new president comes on board. I think that would be totally appropriate. But I mean, I'll just give you some thoughts, you guys know this. So I'm asking, like, why can't we even do the study to figure out what it would take to make the pools free in July, right? No, now only 3 board members voted for that, but that's the kind of thing I would like to see affordability and accessibility built into the strategic plan. The Columbia Association was created for the residents. I would like to see more focus on residents. It seems to be very focused, very broadly focused on so many different things, and there's a lot of reach out in there, which reach out isn't a bad thing, but more actionable focus items in the strategic plan that I've been asking for. So affordability and accessibility, I think that's a big thing. I think we need to study. I think CA needs to invest in finding out why only 25% of the residents belong to any facilities or programs, that kind of stuff. Do we need to modernize our pools? Do we, are the pathways? I mean, everybody loves the pathways, right? Bill and I were just on the study for the play area pilot. I thought that was a fantastic way for CA to address some of their challenges. But I'm not seeing enough of that when it comes to the environment. I'm not seeing enough about preservation, preserving what we have, protecting what we already have. So, I think what doesn't come up in discussions a lot is the deer are eating so much of the ground cover that new trees can't grow. And so when CA plants trees, they have to plant 6 to 8 foot trees in order to try to, beat the deer out. And I think, so like, I'd like to see us trying to preserve what we have already existing in our woods and forests and things like that. So, and I don't feel like there's a lot of that in there. So it needs more residential focus and more on a vision of what Columbia should be in 5 years to kind of get us on a track so that we're modernizing, it becomes a habit. So. Any other questions? Bill?
Yes, Karen, real quick. after I got home from the last CA meeting where the strategic plan was discussed, I made some notes when I got home. And basically, it echoes what several members, issues they raised. The bottom line is starting point. Who is CA today? Who, what, when, where, why, how? Today. What is CA? Where is it? How do you measure that? One focus might be amenities and recreational opportunities for all of our residents, okay? Measurement, only 25% participate. Part of the strategic plan is to increase that to 50%. Plan, how do you get from 25 to 50? That's just one example of what I feel would need to be done. You need to find out who CA is today and what are the measurements and how do you measure that? Then it's how do we want to improve that? What do we want to improve? What's the goal? And then the strategic plan helps you get to that goal. But the beginning and the end, beginning and the middle are missing. It's just a strategic plan at the end is there, but it doesn't measure who we are today and where we want to go. So I think it's kind of hanging out there by itself, and you need to do the other two parts first.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Okay.
All right, thank you, Karen. Regina?
Well, you have my report, just a couple of highlights, and a couple of things I forgot to put on there, but, we did hire a new weekend facility assistant, Nikita Plater. She, will begin training this coming week. She was at our mandatory staff meeting last week with all of the weekend event staff. So that was nice to see everybody, and we gave them a tour of all the new things. So that was really good start. We had our first event on Saturday. And aside from the bathroom door not locking properly, everything went well, but that will of course be rectified before this weekend. Something else that I forgot to put on here was I don't remember which day of the week it was, but I had been invited by the central office, the school board central office, to come as a representative of the community stakeholder. And Jonathan had gotten it too, and he was unavailable, so I went and took some of, basically it was in hiring of the new superintendent, what sort of things would Oakland Mills be looking at? And some of the other individuals that were there was representatives from the Community Action Council and the Columbia Association. There was, I think, 6 of us there. And so a lot of the things we talked about, I had a conversation with Jonathan about it. So I had his text notes in my, on my phone, but they had a series of 4 questions. And so I went through the questions and I felt it was really beneficial, and I wasn't sure what to expect because they didn't say what the format would be, but I just showed up and it was really pleasant. We all got a chance to speak, and everybody there really had similar objectives that they were looking to see. The big one being, I think, definitely somebody who's gonna look at how to have like what Jonathan talked about the last time, a renovation plan in place for the schools, like a continuous map. So it's a continuous basis in the situation that we currently have. It doesn't happen, hopefully, again. So that was really interesting. And if anybody wants more information, I'm happy to talk more about it with you. No problem. And the other thing is a little bit of a side note. I got a phone call from one of a PTA member from Stevens Forest today. And Rebecca, this might be something they might be reaching out to you regarding, particularly Yards Alive. They're looking, I guess the garden at Stevens Forest is a little run down. So they're looking on Earth Day, they're going to have a group of volunteers kind of fixing it up. They're looking for any sort of donations of any sort. Financial is fine. I told them we couldn't help them that way, but I could share, and maybe community members would be interested. I did suggest perhaps they reach out to Yards Alive for any help or suggestions, but they're looking to plant a pollinator garden. And I said that was right up your alley. And so we're going to share it in our school newsletter as well. But just to kind of, I said I would mention it at the board meeting.
They're looking to plant one or fix up the one they have? They have one.
Well, I guess maybe it's overgrown based on
probably
what she was telling me, and so I think they're gonna try to maybe expand it, but really have somebody who's continually maintaining and you know, making sure it's staying. So I did say I would mention it, and I spoke with Amy about putting it in the school newsletter, so they were very grateful. And she was sorry she couldn't be here, because I did say she could come to resident speak out, but unfortunately she wasn't available, so.
If they reach out, I'm sure we can get some plants for them.
That's what I told him. When I told him to stop by on Earth Day, that you would be here. And just maybe even to connect with you, that might be a good opportunity. So hopefully she will.
Sounds good. I won't be there on Earth Day, but Yards Alive will be.
Right. Okay.
So if you talk to her again, when we originally set that up, we provided the plants and some of the other materials, but we did get the school system to provide, I think, the mulch and maybe
Oh.
some other stuff.
Okay.
So it was, you know, kind of a joint effort. I mean, it was minimal cost to the school system, and we kind of bore the rest of it. And then they planted a sign in the middle of the garden and took credit for the whole thing. So if that sign is still there, they might also want to turn back to the school system and say, hey, your sign is still there. What are you going to kick in for this?
Okay.
You know, and that way Yards Alive isn't, you know, bearing the full cost of bringing it back up. Because Jill and Margaret Morrow used to go back and maintain it every year.
Oh, okay.
But then I don't know if they just, you know, the current PTA just lost touch with the people who used to maintain it,
I
or,
feel like that's kind of what
Yeah.
happened, and I felt like based on I had a long conversation with her, and I said, there's a lot of resources, particularly in Oakland Mills,
yeah,
that I am certain, I said, you know, the OMI Green Team, I mentioned Howard County Eco Works, not particularly in Oakland Mills, but so I'm hoping that, you know, she was really looking, somebody told her we would be a good place to start. So I feel like what you said is exactly what happened.
okay.
Oh, and that's all I have, other than what's on my report.
Is Klein gonna have the repaving done by the farmer's market?
You know, I reached out to Klein with a very similar question, so
Right.
I will let you know their response.
I mean, the big crater got done pretty
The big
quickly, so I'm
thing
hoping
done,
that,
it
yeah,
was a surprise, they did not tell me, I was, and then I got really excited, because I thought, oh, are they gonna do the whole thing, but
No.
you know,
They're gonna do spots.
yeah, but it was nice to be able to drive without feeling like you're gonna.
I mean,
lose a
our
wheel.
village center isn't the only one. I've seen some major potholes around town. There was
Yeah.
one right next to the Supreme Court. I was, holy cow.
Well,
It's in
there's
the Starbucks lot, but.
There's one right on the corner of Stevens Forest in Kilimanjaro that I think you said you reported, I reported, it's been
it keeps
reported.
reopening, because they haven't done the permanent repair.
of them are
like
that, all of them,
Yeah.
all over the county.
What is going
Lot of
on? I
places.
feel like our roads, like overnight, like what happened in the last couple of years to deteriorate so bad?
Usually, I don't know, weather does it sometimes and the snow plows and stuff, but we haven't.
Maybe it's the fluctuation, I don't know.
And the water main breaks.
So the other thing I noticed, and it's probably because of separate contracts, where they've had to dig up the roads to do the new fire hydrant installations.
Mm.
They have now come back and done the, you know, taken up the cold patch and done the permanent patch. But where they've done all the pothole repairs and the emergency water main repairs, they haven't come back through to do the permanent repairs there. So my guess is that's gonna be on the maintenance list as we get into the spring, because it's a different contract or a different crew than, you know, the contract for the fire hydrants, which was just all taken care of at once. But yeah, it seemed especially bad for, some of those I think were caused by water main breaks. It seemed like even though we didn't have a really, really like deep freeze cold winter, it seemed
Right.
especially bad for water main breaks
Yeah.
this year or this past year.
Yeah.
What was that weird week I had where we lost the electricity and the water 3
gosh,
times all
yeah.
in the span of a week and a half or something? Yeah, it was,
Well, tree roots too.
I remember
are
that.
getting worse.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, any questions for Brigida or other questions? All right, we've got 2 committee reports from Bill.
Thank you.
Housing and then open space.
Yes, housing in an open space, housing committee goal for years has been to assist the HOAs in getting funding to help them deal with infrastructure costs. Example, Howie Court, the internal roadway, all owned by Howie Court, would cost, I think their last estimate would be almost $500,000 to go in, take up all the old roadway and put in new to county standards. And that has been a major issue. This legislative period, the Maryland legislature passed a House bill and its accompanying Senate bill that will create enabling legislation so that local county governments can create a program where they issue grants to HOAs to spend on infrastructure repair replacement. The bill is waiting on Wes Moore's desk for signature. So this is a major accomplishment, and as soon as that's signed, then we will work with the county council and the county executive on getting the grant system set up within the county so that we can begin to help HOAs that can't help themselves for many different good reasons. So this is a major accomplishment, and it says that the state recognizes that this is a major problem so that the counties should have an easy time saying, yep, let's go at this and work to find fixes for this. So that's a major accomplishment. The other,
Bill, can I ask you a question?
I'll go, I'm sorry, go ahead. Questions? My fault.
Yeah, can I ask you a question about this? Bill,
Yes.
is there any sense at all? So like, I know that like in our village, you have like, where Alex lives back behind Talbot Springs Pool, that community off Basket Ring Road, Holly Court, that's all private roads. So they would want a grant like this to help repair. Is there any thought though, for these HOAs whose roads are private to just have those turned over to the county? Is there any way to make those public roads? Because then you have, what's our other community right at the end of Whiteacre across the street? Is it Emerson's Reach? That one, their roads are public, so the county paves their roads. Is there any way for the county to just adopt those roads? Because that's one of their major expenses, right?
Correct. For the HOAs, that's one of their major expenses is snow removal and then repair and or replacement of the roadways. And our HOAs here are basically 50 years old, like the village. So that would be an undertaking that the county could most certainly do. There would be a cost to the county to do that. And that would be an issue that the county would want to look at, is what is a good estimate of that cost. And that's why we've recommended the pilot program at Howie Court. The county basically created this problem decades ago when they allowed developers to make some of their internal roadways private and some could be done to county standards and be deeded over to the county, be public roads. So it's a county created issue. It's an inequity that is significant. And all HOAs in Oak Mills, 7 of them pay property taxes, but only a few get the benefits of that when their roads are owned by the county. So it's a major issue. And the county, basically, my opinion, what the county needs to do is, one, stop the practice going forward and mandate that all HOA roadways be made to county road standards and be made to deed over to the county, become county roads, okay? Then retroactively go in and grandfather the roads that were private and grandfather them to the county, and that with the understanding they only have to be maintained to private road standards, okay? And there's a lot of money involved to be able to do that, but in my opinion, the county created the problem, the county needs to fix the problem, and that's basically how to fix it, very simple. The grant process here that the Senate and House bill enables is a first step in that direction, in my opinion. And I think it's great that the state recognized this is a significant problem and let's go to work to fix it.
Thank you, Bill.
Any other questions on the HOA housing piece of my report? No, we're good. Okay, let me go on to the open space piece. The last CA board meeting, the CA open space staff presented the open space play area study results and presented a policy and guidance. Let's see, let me get the correct wording up here. A policy cluster play area policy and cluster play area program guidance to the CA board. It was an excellent presentation, in my opinion, and in my opinion, all the CA board members really liked the presentation. They especially liked the process that was used to look at evaluating what we have had for 50 years and how to move it forward for the next 20. The CA board will discuss this again at the work session this Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. And then at the CA board meeting at the end of April, the CA board will vote to make the policy for the cluster play area policy, make that the strategic plan for cluster play areas in Columbia. I have great hope for it based on my personal assessment of the board reaction. And what I really liked was that the board liked the process, because then this process can be used to look at all open space and everything in Columbia. And this process they liked involved a survey that had over 1,700 responses to it from all the villages. I think the least percent, about 5% of the survey came from a couple villages. 15% of respondents were from Oakland Mills, which was great. And I was thrilled that we, within a year, made the progress that we've come up with the policy, asking the board to vote to adopt it as the strategic plan. So that went very, very well. And there is the process in place that we could utilize that to address other issues in open space. So I was very happy with all of that. Any questions on that? Okay, great. And I want to thank all the Oakland Mills residents who participated in the work group on that process. It was great, fantastic. And special thanks to Karen on the board for getting it to happen, and to Rebecca for her participation too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. All right, I think we're at the bulletin board. You feel like we're at the bulletin board? I feel like we're at the bulletin board. All right, let me go online first. Rebecca, you got anything for bulletin board?
Not really. My family and I went and saw the total eclipse yesterday in Ohio. It
Oh,
took
very nice.
4.5 hours to drive there and 8.5 hours to get home.
Wow.
It was miserable.
Did you have
But-
clear enough skies?
Yes, it was perfect. It was so amazing.
Okay.
It was really cool. Yeah, we had a nice time.
I
Nothing
watched
else.
I watched the video from the Cleveland baseball stadium. And that was pretty nice to see, you know, because they did a time lapse, and it basically went from, it was pregame, but it basically went from day game to night game and then back to day game. And you know, they were nice enough to like turn off all the ribbon boards and the scoreboard and everything, so you could truly, you know, see how
Oh,
dark
cool.
it was getting. Because this is the first time in the history of Major League Baseball that totality and a game have intersected.
Yeah, we thought about going to the game, and then we were like, we'll save our games for the Orioles.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
but half of the
looks like-
metro area, I think, followed us there.
Well, the person I went to school with years and years ago, I saw on Facebook, went to Buffalo, and they did not have that experience because it was pretty thick
Maybe a
clouds
little
in
bit.
Buffalo all
Oh.
day. So, yeah.
How
So,
disappointing.
I'm glad you had some clear skies.
Yes, it was lovely.
Good. Looks like Warren has left us. Bill?
Nope.
All right. Amy?
No.
Brigitte?
Well, I would like to tell you that my son has officially accepted his admitted student to Temple.
Woohoo!
Received 2 scholarships, so I'm very excited. So my final child, my baby boy,
You're almost-
off to Temple.
There
So,
you go.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations. Mr. Freed.
Yeah, I saw the eclipse yesterday for the first time also. I bought the glasses, and my bosses at work, everyone, we did the thing for like 10 minutes. So it was a nice little break yesterday. So yeah, it was good. Yeah, so And I'm glad to be joining the board, so that's, I guess yeah.
We're glad to
Good
have you
update,
on the
yeah.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome again. I actually have a few things. Believe it or not, people don't get excited about free money. So if you know any seniors at Oakland Mills High School, the PTSA has been pushing, their scholarship. I actually meant to add, I wanted to ask the PTSA president while I was in the building last Friday, like, are you getting applicants? Because I noticed you're kind of pushing it lately, and she wasn't there. But I noticed they've been putting it out there. Fine Arts, I don't know what their scholarship amount is. I just know they have scholarships. Fine Arts Boosters has $1,000 each year, the Elaine Reed Scholarship. Last year, Fine Arts Boosters got no valid applications for the scholarship and didn't award it. This year, as of last night, there are 3 students we know of preparing applications. Whether they get them all the way to the end by May 1st, we don't know, but it's free money. So if you know any seniors at Oakland Mills High School out there, encourage them to take a few minutes and write an essay or whatever they need to do for those scholarships, because
It's free money.
yeah.
How are they advertising it? How are they
Um,
advertising the scholarship?
both PTSA and Fine Arts Boosters are doing the usual, social media, sticking it on Instagram for the students, sticking it on Facebook for their parents, getting it into the school newsletters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Guidance, guidance should also be pushing it, but
We have like 2 scholarships, I think, that we're running through the foundation that are slated for high school students. And I mean, we do a big push and we get lots of applicants.
do you get much of an Oakland Mills crowd?
Yeah, we have.
Okay, good.
Because I mean, we have the partnership with Oakland Mills, some of our other programs, so we do get a lot of students from Oakland Mills into.
Okay,
OCC.
good. I don't know, maybe,
Yeah,
we actually, for FAB, we actually changed it a little bit to make it a little easier. Well, I write an essay for $1,000. I don't know. It's not long.
Depends on
essay.
like what your requirements are and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like it is fab, so does it have, they have to be doing something related to the fine arts?
You have to have been a performing arts student in high school. You don't have to go on to do something in performing arts. Yeah.
She's actually thinking about going into
that would
animation.
make me feel like it should be something that maybe we can talk to the foundation, and that could be something that we can advertise with the rest of us, because we operate, I mean, we have 300 some odd scholarships that we
Yeah.
advertise to students, and a lot of those are incoming from high school, but that can be one slated for Oakland Mills high school students, and just get more visibility, because 3 applicants, it's just. I mean,
Right. Yeah, it would be nice
It's
if
fairly,
we had
low.
a big pool.
When I was in high school.
The other thing while I'm bringing up the scholarships, the other thing I was gonna ask while I'm wearing my FAB hat is when FAB receives applications for the scholarship, we don't, decide, the board of FAB don't decide who gets it. We strip off all the identifying information and we give them to a panel of 3 people from the community to review and make the recommendation for who should get it. So we usually turn to OMCA and the village board. So if anyone is interested in being part of that panel, if you could let me know sometime by the end of this week. Okay, Brigida's one.
I would absolutely love
Okay.
to do that.
Jonathan,
My daughter doesn't.
Bill said he wants to.
Bill?
Jonathan, I've been asked to be on that board several times, but there was never any work to do. Put me on it.
All right, well, I'm trying to drum up work for you.
That's
Yeah,
good.
no, there is no increase in pay if the increase in applications becomes a reality, but,
I can handle it. I can handle it.
all right, very good. All right, and if anyone else is interested in being the 3rd, let me know. No pressure. There are plenty of,
I have to wait and see if my daughter applies for anything.
yeah, I mean, well, you might know, sir. I was gonna say,
Because I'll
technically we
probably
would strip it off, but,
do
okay,
some
then,
stuff.
yeah, then you shouldn't, yeah.
What, how do you find out? I mean, I've seen some emails and stuff, but like, is there like a place where you can go to find the scholarship?
We actually have it first thing on the FAB website.
Yeah,
and-
but like for the other organizations at the schools and stuff.
I don't know if guidance, I'll ask, I don't know if guidance puts out anything comprehensive or not. That's why I was sort of saying
Yeah,
it here,
I've been
because
looking at the emails.
it's free money, please, come try to take our free money. Yeah,
And usually guidance counselor's office, I know in previous years sent out stuff.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, those kids need the money.
Right.
Oh, and two more shameless plugs so that we can continue to fund the Elaine Reed Scholarship. If you know anyone who likes to play poker and wants to participate in poker night here at the other barn a week from Friday, there is a,
Do they teach?
no, this, I don't play
Beware the people
poker,
who wanna be
so
taught.
I'm gonna be here to thank everyone for supporting, but I don't play poker. No, this is a Texas Hold'em tournament. Where
Play the song.
basically half of the buy-in goes toward the pool, the other half goes toward Fab, and actually the Booster Club at Oakland Mills too, because they're now helping us promote it. So yeah, if you know anyone who's interested in playing poker next Friday night, it's right here at the other barn,
Very
a week from
nice.
Friday. And again, if you know anyone who needs a mattress, tell them not to buy anything until Sunday, April 28th, and I will pass it on to Karen now.
Awesome. Okay, I just want to tell everybody that, thank you, Brigida. Thank you, Amy. I'm gonna send out the invitation. I thought I would get it out today, but it's probably gonna be first thing in the morning, but a week from this Thursday, April 7th, is that right? It's a Thursday.
It's a
right? It's a
Wednesday.
Wednesday. April 17th.
Probably driving back from West Virginia.
April 17th is the traffic safety night. We got a bunch of residents that are gonna come. We've gotten a commitment from a lot of elected and Howard County officials to come and listen. It's gonna be more than just, hey, they're speeding on Stevens Forest Road. We're gonna say, hey, they're speeding on Stevens Forest Road and we want cameras and we want this. So the residents are gonna get a chance to speak for, I think it's like 40-45 minutes about the solutions that they want for speeding in front of the schools, for the traffic circle, running of stop signs. I mean, the issue at Camelback and Santiago and that kind of stuff. So if, I'm gonna send out the invitation. I'm gonna try to do an RSVP on the invitation. It's gonna go out in the morning, but hopefully everyone here can make that. So it'd be a good thing to come to.
So I ran into the Oakland Mills High principal last night.
Oh, okay.
He goes, what's this traffic thing next week? So I gave him the
Right.
background, told him who Celia is and everything, because I guess he felt like he had an invitation, but he wasn't sure if he was supposed to do something for it or
Right.
just, kind of be there. So he said he will try to swing by.
Okay, that would be great. We wanted the principals, PTA, representatives to come and hear because, the kids, right?
Yeah, I told him I'd be out of town for work, so I think that gave him more encouragement to swing by, knowing he wouldn't have to run into me. So,
Yeah.
you can thank me later. No, kidding.
Thank you, Jonathan, later. I appreciate that. Yeah, just a quick shout out to Celia and Lee Morgan and Catherine Schatz, who have just done a ton of work on this. They have been like a dog with a bone on this and not letting it go, and I really appreciate that, so. Yeah, so thank you.
Sure.
So I have two things to share with Howard Community College. This Saturday, they're going to be doing the Green Fest, which is celebrating oh my gosh,
Earth Day.
I lost my whole train of thought. Earth Day.
It's a long
Okay,
day.
This Saturday is Green Fest?
This
Okay.
Saturday, April 13th at 10 o'clock at the Science Engineering Technology Building, as well as the outdoor parking area. And then we have another fundraising event, which is going to be on Friday, April 26th, which is our Vino Scholastico. And that raises money for student scholarships. And as I mentioned before, I just pulled some demographics from work and got some stats from work. And we do have a lot of students that are attending HEC that live right here in our own neighborhood, right here within Oakland Mills. So that's why I was kind of push it out, because a lot of the students that are here are the ones that are receiving more of the funding, just because they have, the AGIs are a lot less here, so they're receiving more of the funding, more of the scholarships. So I really push and advocate for that because a lot of the students are here in our own neighborhood. But it's the Vino Scholastico. Vino Scholastico, Friday, April 26th. It is a wine tasting event. There will be wine, spirits, craft beers. We have non-alcoholic cocktails. There's going to be, all the restaurants in Hoco are going to be there. The Black Wall, New One, 18th and Curate, Tino's, Iron Bridge, Periodic Table. We have them all. They're going to be at this event. So there's something for everyone. There'll be a live DJ spinning the top 100. And it's just going to be a party. This is going to be the party that everyone wants to be at. So, and like I said, all proceeds go directly into student scholarships. So that's the upside of it. raise a glass, raise a scholarship.
Nice.
That's all I
Excellent.
have.
Well done, Char.
All right. I didn't miss anyone, did I? We're adjourned
Thank you. Look
early.
Wow.
at that.
Good night, Rebecca and Bill.
Phone's gonna go ding, ding, ding now. Nope.